You need the courage to continually move yourself in the direction of your biggest goals and ambitions. You need to be willing to face discomfort in order for you to grow. You need the courage to launch in faith with no guarantees of success. Someone once wrote, "If every obstacle must first be overcome, nothing will ever get done." Courageous people are those who have a dream and set a goal. They make a plan and they take the first step with no assurances and no guarantees that their efforts will result in success. However, if you look upon every step forward as a learning experience and every setback as a valuable lesson that has been sent to you to make you stronger and better, you will not be afraid to launch in faith into the unknown. You need the courage to risk failure. You need the courage to endure constant setbacks and disappointments and temporary defeats. You need to learn to deal with failure by realizing that failure is an indispensable prerequisite for success. You can't succeed without failing, and failing lots of times. Remember that wonderful quote from Thomas J. Watson Sr., the founder of IBM? He said, "If you want to be successful faster, you must double your rate of failure." He said, "Success lies on the far side of failure." You need the courage to treat failure as an opportunity to more intelligently begin again. You need to overcome the fear of failure by doing the things you fear over and over until the fear is gone. And then by resolving to bounce rather than break when things don't work out for you. You need the courage to turn toward danger continuously, to face the things you fear. Now, identify all the fear situations in your life that cause you stress or anxiety today. Decide what the worst possible outcome of each of these situations might be. Resolve to accept the worst should it occur. And then take action to resolve each of these situations.
You're interrupting my calculations.
Refuse to allow a fear situation to remain in your life, dominating your thinking and emotions and holding you back. You need the courage to be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. All peak performers continually make decisions, make mistakes, learn from them, pick themselves up, self-correct, and carry on. Successful people are not those who necessarily make the right decisions all the time, but by hanging in there, they make their decisions right. If they make a mistake, they accept it. They learn as much as possible from it, failing, making mistakes, and carry on. The more you fail and the more mistakes you make, the smarter you become, and the more likely it is that you will eventually achieve your goals. You also need the courage to accept complete responsibility for your life, which means to take ownership for results. You need the courage to refuse to make excuses or to defend yourself. You need the courage to say over and over again, "I am responsible. I am responsible," and refuse to blame anybody else. When something goes wrong, you focus on the solution rather than the problem or the person. You ask, what do we do from here? What's the next step? What's the solution? What action should we take? You then pick yourself up and carry on, extracting the wheat, the lessons from the situation, and throwing away the chaff, the things that happen that you cannot change. The final courage you need is the courage to persist longer than anyone else. Persistence is the quality that will ultimately guarantee your success. Your willingness to persist in the face of every adversity can be your greatest asset. The ability to persist is the number one quality for success in every field in life. It can be the one factor that guarantees your success in the end. If you refuse to quit, you must ultimately succeed. Just as in baseball, you won't ultimately hit a home run unless you keep on swinging. In 30 years of studying successful people, I've discovered one fact over and over. No one was ever defeated until they accepted defeat as a reality. No one can ever defeat you but yourself.
Decide what you really want in life, financial independence, and then make a decision that you will persist until you succeed. You will never give up until you achieve it. Make the decision, shut the door behind you as far as you're concerned, because you will never give up. Failure is not an option.
So you overcome procrastination with a very simple method. It was developed by W. Clement Stone when he was a young man. He built a fortune of $500 million
And this is one of the central principles of his life. It's simply this. Every morning when you get up, say over and over to yourself, do it now, do it now, do it now. I do it now, do it now. Whenever you have this tendency to procrastinate, program your subconscious mind with this automatic conditioned command, do it now, do it now, do it now. The key to overcoming procrastination is to develop a sense of urgency. Be the kind of person who gets things done quickly. Be the kind of person who launches fast on a task. One of the ways to launch fast on a task is to take the task and break it up. What is called salami slicing it. Slice a piece of salami. Don't try to eat a whole loaf of salami. You eat it one slice at a time. Take your task and break it up into small pieces and do one piece at a time. Say over and over to yourself, do it now, do it now, do it now. Do you know that less than 2% of the population have a sense of urgency? And that there's not an example of a successful person anywhere who does not have a sense of urgency? That if you just develop a sense of urgency, when somebody gives you a task, that you get on it and do it fast, that alone will move you into the top ranks in a very short period of time. In a study done amongst 104 chief executive officers 2 years ago, they asked what would be the qualities that would put a person on the fast track in their career. You know the conclusion they came back to? With 2 qualities. Number 1, the ability to set priorities, to choose what was relevant over what was irrelevant. And number 2 was the ability to get the job done fast. If all you did was this, set priorities and get the job done fast, that alone would cause you to stand out from 80 to 90% of the people that you work with. Delegate everything that you possibly can. Now, what does delegation mean? Delegation is very simple. What it means is this, is that whatever your hourly rate is, let us say your goal is to earn $50,000 a year. If you work 8 hours a day, that's $25 an hour. You got that? So you're a $25 an hour person. Now, the only way you can make $25 an hour is if you do $25 or more work. And the only way you can do $25 an hour or more work is if you take anything that can be done by anybody who earns less than you per hour, 20, 15, 10, 5, and so on, and delegate, outsource, have somebody else do it. The most valuable resource in the world today is productive time. And do not waste your productive time dropping off laundry, getting your car washed, mowing your lawn, cleaning your house. Do not waste your productive time doing things that you can hire people to do for $5 or $10 an hour. Use your productive time on tasks that are more expensive, of higher value. Delegate everything that you possibly can. In fact, its general conclusion is this, is that if you cannot delegate, if you cannot get other people to do things of lower priority for you, you cannot grow, you cannot develop, you cannot be successful. You may be successful running a shoe shine stand, but that's about the limit of it. Delegation requires one key word, clarity. Clarity. The reason people don't delegate is because they've delegated and other people have dropped the ball. But the major reason why people don't fulfill the task that you've given to them is because of lack of clarity. So when you delegate, here are the keys. First of all, think through what you want done. Write it down. Second of all, pick the right person to do it. Don't give a major task to an incapable person. Third of all, make it crystal clear what you want done and when you want it done. And fourth of all, check. Review, inspect, keep on top of it to make sure it is done on time. Never assume that anything will be done on time. I read something years ago, a great sign, it said that assumption lies at the root of all foul-ups. Never assume that anybody or anything will be done on time unless you check on it yourself.
Move out of your comfort zone. It's the courage to move into your zone of discomfort where you feel awkward and clumsy and sometimes alone. The comfort zone is one of the greatest enemies of human potential and of your potential. When people get into a comfort zone, they strive to stay in that comfort zone, even if they're unhappy with their situation. Often their whole lives pass them by while they're furnishing and reinforcing their little rut of medium performance.
Set a goal and make a plan to become very good in each of those areas. Just think. You may be only one critical skill away from top performance in your job. Here's one of the greatest questions you will ever ask and answer. It's this. What one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career? Let me repeat that. What one skill, if you developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on your career? You should use this question to guide your career for the rest of your life. Look into yourself for the answer. You probably know what it is.
At once.
Ask your boss this question. Ask your coworkers. Ask your friends and your family. Whatever the answer is, find out and then go to work to bring up your performance in this area. There's an old saying that by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is for you to get your mind off the huge task in front of you and focus on a single action that you can take.
My lord.
Confucius once wrote, "A journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step." This is a great strategy for overcoming procrastination and getting more things done faster.
At once.
You can accomplish the biggest task in your life by disciplining yourself to take it just one step at a time. Your job is to go as far as you can see. You will then see far enough to go further. To accomplish a great task, you must step out in faith and have complete confidence that your next step will soon become clear to you. Remember the wonderful advice, leap and the net will appear. A great life or a great career is built by performing one task at a time, quickly and well, and then going on to the next task. Financial independence is achieved by saving a little money every single month, year after year. Health and fitness are accomplished by just eating a little less and exercising a little more day after day and month after month. You can overcome procrastination and accomplish extraordinary things by just taking the first step, by getting started towards your goal, and then by taking it one step at a time.
I swear it.
Now here's how you can put this idea into action. Select any goal, task, or project in your life where you have been procrastinating and just take one step toward accomplishing it immediately.
I swear.
Sometimes all you need to do to get started is to sit down and make a list of all the steps you will need to take to eventually complete the task.
For the king.
Then, just start and complete one item on the list, and then one more,
At once.
and so on. You will be amazed at what you eventually accomplish.
At once.
One of the best ways for you to overcome procrastination and get more things done faster is for you to have everything you need at hand before you begin. When you're fully prepared, you are like a cocked gun or an archer with an arrow pulled back, taut in the bow. You just need one small mental push to get started on your highest value tasks. Begin by clearing off your desk or workspace so that you have only one task in front of you. If necessary, put everything on the floor or on the table behind you. Gather all the information, reports, details, papers, and work materials that you will require to complete the job. Have them at hand so that you can reach them without getting up or moving very much. Set up your work area so that it is comfortable, attractive, and conducive to working for long
I
periods.
swear it.
Especially, make sure that you have a comfortable chair that supports your back and allows your feet to sit flat on the floor. The most productive people take the time to create a work area where they enjoy spending time. The cleaner and neater your work area before you begin, the easier it is for you to get started and keep going. When you sit down with everything in front of you ready to go, assume the body language of high performance. Sit up straight, sit forward and away from the back of the chair.
I swear it.
Carry yourself as though you are an efficient, effective, high-performing personality. Then, pick up the first item and say to yourself, "Let's get to work,"
Absolutely.
and plunge in. And once you've started, keep going until the job is finished.
1. Begin today to plan every day, week, and month in advance. Take a notepad or sheet of paper or use your
I
smartphone
swear.
and make a list of everything you have to do in the next 24 hours. Add to your list as new items come up. Make a list of all your projects, the big multitask jobs that are important to your future. 2. Lay out all of your major goals,
Absolutely.
projects, and tasks by priority. What is most important, and by sequence. What has to be done first, what comes second, and so forth. Start with
For
the
the
end in
king.
mind and work backward. Think
I
on paper.
swear it.
Always work from a list.
For the king.
You'll be amazed at how much more productive you become and how much easier it is to eat your frog.
At
Chapter
once.
3. Apply the 80 or 20 rule to everything. We always have time enough, if we will but use it aright. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. The 80 or 20
I
rule is
swear.
one of the most helpful of all concepts of time and life management. It is also called the Pareto principle. after the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who first wrote about it in 1895. Pareto noticed that people in his society seemed to divide naturally into what he called the vital few, the top 20% in terms of money and influence, and the trivial many, the bottom 80%. He later discovered that virtually all economic activity was subject to this principle as well. For example, this principle says that 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results, 20% of your customers will account for 80% of your sales, 20% of your products or services will account for 80% of your profits, 20% of your tasks will account for 80% of the value of what you do, and so on. This means that if you have a list of 10 items to do, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth much more than the other 8 items put together. Number of tasks versus importance of tasks. Here is an interesting discovery. Each of the 10 tasks may take the same amount of time to accomplish, but 1 or 2 of those tasks will contribute 5 or 10 times the value of any of the others. Often, a single task can be worth more than all the other 9 items put together. This task is invariably the frog that you should eat first. Can you guess on which items the average person is most likely to procrastinate? The sad fact is that most people procrastinate on the top 10 or 20% of items that are the most valuable and important, the vital few. They busy themselves instead with the least important 80%, the trivial many, that contribute very little to results. Focus on activities, not accomplishments. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they are busy working on tasks that are of low value while they are procrastinating on the 1 or 2 activities that, if they completed them quickly and well, could make a real difference to their companies and to their careers. The most valuable tasks you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex. But the payoff and rewards for completing these tasks efficiently can be tremendous. For this reason, you must adamantly refuse to work on tasks in the bottom 80% while you still have tasks in the top 20% left to be done. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities or in the bottom 80%? Rule: resist the temptation to clear up small things first. Remember, whatever you choose to do over and over eventually becomes a habit that is hard to break. If you choose to start your day working on low-value tasks, you will soon develop the habit of always starting and working on low-value tasks. This is not the kind of habit you want to develop or keep. Low-value tasks are like rabbits. They multiply continually. You never get caught up. The hardest part of any important task is getting started on it in the first place. Once you actually begin work on a valuable task, you will be naturally motivated to continue. A part of your mind loves to be busy working on significant tasks that can really make a difference. Your job is to feed this part of your mind continually. Motivate yourself. Just thinking about starting and finishing an important task motivates you and helps you overcome procrastination. The fact is, the time required to complete an important job is often the same as the time required to do an unimportant job. The difference is that you get a tremendous feeling of pride and satisfaction from completing something valuable and significant. However, when you complete a low-value task using the same amount of time and energy, you get little or no satisfaction. Time management is really life management, personal management. It is really taking control of the sequence of events. Time management is taking control over what you do next. And you are always free to choose the task that you will do next. Your ability to choose between the important and the unimportant is the key determinant of your success in life and work. Effective, productive people discipline themselves to start on the most important task that is before them. They force themselves to eat that frog, whatever it is. As a result, they accomplish vastly more than the average person and are much happier as a result. This should be your way of working as well. Use the ABCDE method continually. The first law of success is concentration, to bend all the energies to one point, and to go directly to that point, looking neither to the right nor to the left. William Matthews: the more thought you invest in planning and setting priorities before you begin, the more important things you will do and the faster you will get them done once you get started. The more important and valuable a task is to you, the more likely you will be motivated to overcome procrastination and launch yourself into the job. The ABCDE method is a powerful priority setting technique that you can use every single day. This technique is so simple and effective that it can, all by itself, make you one of the most efficient and effective people in your field. Think on paper. The power of this technique lies in its simplicity. Here's how it works. You start with a list of everything you have to do for the coming day. Think on paper. You then place an A, B, C, D, or E next to each item on your list before you begin the first task. An item is defined as something that is very important, something that you must do. This is a task that will have serious positive or negative consequences if you do it or fail to do it, like visiting a key customer or finishing a report that your boss needs for an upcoming board meeting. These items are the frogs of your life. If you have more than one task, you prioritize these tasks by writing A1, A2, A3, and so on in front of each item. Your A1 task is your biggest, ugliest frog of all. Shoulds versus musts. A B item is defined as a task that you should do, but it has only mild consequences. These are the tadpoles of your work life. This means that someone may be unhappy or inconvenienced if you don't do one of these tasks, but it is nowhere as important as an A task. Returning an unimportant telephone message or reviewing your email would be a B task. The rule is that you should never do a B task when an A task is left undone. You should never be distracted by a tadpole when a big frog is sitting there waiting to be eaten. A C task is defined as something that would be nice to do but for which there are no consequences at all, whether you do it or not. C tasks include phoning a friend, having coffee or lunch with a coworker, and completing some personal business during work hours. These sorts of activities have no effect at all on your work life. A D task is defined as something you can delegate to someone else. The rule is that you should delegate everything that someone else can do so you can free up more time for the A tasks that only you can do. An E task is defined as something that you can eliminate altogether, and it won't make any real difference. This may be a task that was important at one time but is no longer relevant to you or anyone else. Often it is something you continue to do out of habit or because you enjoy it. But every minute that you spend on an E task is time taken away from an A task or activity that can make a real difference in your life. After you have applied the ABCDE method to your list, you will be completely organized and ready to get more important things done faster. Take action immediately. The key to making this ABCDE method work is for you to now discipline yourself to start immediately on your A1 task and then stay at it until it is complete. Use your willpower to get going and stay going on this one job, the most important single task you could possibly be doing.
Quality of self-discipline is the quality that will make you a big success. It's the ability to force yourself to do what you know you should do. And here is the wonderful discovery. This persistence is self-discipline in action. Every time you persist, you build your self-discipline. Every time you practice self-discipline, you build your ability to persist. And the two of them are tied into your self-esteem. So the more you persist, the more you like yourself. And the more you like yourself, the more discipline you have. And the more discipline you have in practice, the more you like yourself. As a result, the more you persist. And eventually you get onto an upward spiral where you become absolutely unstoppable. You reach the point where you know you can achieve the goal and nothing in the world can stop you. And every step that you take forward makes you stronger and stronger and stronger until finally people say, I know one thing about him, I know one thing about her. You cannot stop him or her. Once they decided they want something, they will not stop until they get it. And when you develop that quality, there will be nothing that is impossible to you. Self-discipline is a learnable quality that anyone can attain through hard work and repetition. While this process may seem simple, it's not easy to do.
We say that self-discipline is self-control. It's self-mastery. Now, the payoff for practicing self-discipline is immediate. People think, well, geez, I get these rewards way down in the future. No. There's an immediate reward. There's a wonderful line in spiritual development that said, you are not punished for your sins, but by them. In other words, there are things that you do that are harmful to you that cause immediate detriment. But you're also rewarded for the good things that you do, and you're rewarded immediately. So what we know is when you practice self-discipline, you actually like and respect yourself more. And you know, and I know, that how you feel about yourself on a minute-to-minute basis. Do you feel that you're a good person? Do you feel that you're a likable person, a successful person? The more you like yourself and respect yourself and value yourself on a minute-to-minute basis, the better is your attitude, the better is your reaction to other people. You just feel happy inside. And wonderfully enough, when you practice self-discipline, when you exert yourself to do what you know you should do, even though there's endless temptations to do something fun and easy, when you discipline yourself to do it, your self-esteem goes up. You actually like yourself more. Your self-image improves. You actually see yourself as a better person. And of course, as you know, your self-image determines your performance. The person you see in your mind will be the person that you will be on the outside.
You set priorities among your goals and rewrite your lists so that your most important goals are at the top. You then take a separate sheet of paper and you make a list of all the things that you can think of doing right now to move you toward the attainment of your most important goals.
For the king.
Fully 97% of adult Americans are trying to live their lives without clear, specific, written goals. This is the same as setting off across an unknown country without a roadmap. You may get somewhere eventually, but it will take you much longer, and it's far more likely that you will get lost and waste an enormous amount of time than if you planned your trip carefully with a roadmap and full information about the future terrain before you started out. The second discipline you need to develop for success is the discipline of planning. Many people think that they are too busy to plan, or they don't give themselves enough time to plan. You will save 10 minutes in execution and getting the job done for every minute that you invest in planning. You will get a 1,000% return on your time investment by taking the time to think through in advance what you are going to do in the hours and days ahead.
The process of developing discipline is simple, though not easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy. First, decide upon the one discipline that can be most helpful to you in your career at the moment. Don't try to change several things about yourself at once, or develop several disciplines for yourself simultaneously, no matter how attractive and desirable they may be at the moment.
For the king.
Your basic need is to focus and concentrate on the development of a single discipline until it is locked in and becomes a part of your personality. Then you can move on to the development of the next discipline on your list. Once you've chosen a discipline to develop, begin to think about how you would behave if you already had this discipline or habit. See yourself acting or reacting in a situation where you want to practice this discipline. Then create a positive affirmation for yourself to continually reinforce this new discipline. You will actually become what you say to yourself about yourself over and over again. This will build your self-confidence and you will begin to see yourself in a new light.
The quality of self-discipline is something that you can learn by continuous practice, over and over, until you master it. Once you've mastered the ability to delay gratification, the ability to discipline yourself to keep your attention focused on the most important task in front of you, there is virtually no goal that you cannot accomplish and no task that you cannot complete.
And the wonderful thing is when you practice self-discipline, especially in exercise, for example, but even in hard work, your brain releases endorphins. And endorphins are called nature's happy drug. And it actually makes you happy to practice self-discipline, to take control of yourself and make yourself do the right thing and complete it. You feel good about yourself in the moment. And of course, the effect that it has on your future can be tremendous. Now, fortunately, self-discipline is a habit that you can learn with practice and repetition. If you do something over and over again, you eventually develop a habit. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people have success habits. And the most important success habit they have is the ability to make themselves do what they know they should do at this time. And wonderfully enough, if you practice it over and over again, it finally locks in.
And as you keep repeating that over and over again, you program it deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind then begins to push you to be on time for every meeting or appointment. Now, once you've decided on the discipline you're going to develop, the key is for you to launch strongly on your new discipline. Resolve to never allow an exception until it becomes permanent. If you fall off the wagon, immediately restate your affirmation as a command to yourself and begin trying it again. This is the only way you can develop the habit of discipline in that particular area. The best part of this process of developing discipline is the direct relationship between self-discipline and persistence. The more you persist in any endeavor, the greater self-discipline, self-confidence you'll develop. It's been well said that persistence is self-discipline in action. The more consistently you practice your chosen disciplines, the more you will like and respect yourself. You will feel more confident and optimistic. You'll become more effective in every area of your life. When you develop the disciplines of leadership excellence, you will become a more powerful and resourceful leader.
It is a habit, a practice, a philosophy, and a way of living.
Everyone can become a great leader and have better self-confidence and achieve success if they continue to do the right things in the right way. The fact is that you can develop whatever qualities you consider desirable and necessary. For some people it will be easier, and for others it will take more time and effort. But each person has the inborn ability to shape his or her character and personality in a positive way by being clear about his or her future intent and determined enough to press forward through the difficulties, resistance, and setbacks that you will always experience.
Goethe, the German philosopher, once said that everything is hard before it's easy. So developing the habit of self-discipline is hard. And be patient with yourself, because you slip back all the time. All your life, you'll be slipping back. All your life, you have to fight this battle. You never get it to the point where it's locked in forever. Every morning you get up and that alarm goes off and you say, do I sleep a little longer or do I get up? You know, every time you look at a list of things to do, you say, do I start with the most important thing? As they say, do the worst first. Or do I do something that's fun and talk to a friend or make a phone call? You've got to fight this battle every single day. But every time you fight and win, you feel better about yourself.
All successful men and women are highly disciplined in the important work that they do. All unsuccessful men and women are undisciplined and unable to control their behaviors and their appetites. And when you develop the same levels of high personal discipline possessed by the most goal-oriented, successful people in our society, you will very soon begin to achieve the same results that they do. It's no miracle. All great success in life is preceded by long, sustained periods of focused effort on a single goal, the most important goal, with the determination to stay with it until it is complete. Throughout history, we find that every man or woman who achieved anything lasting and worthwhile had engaged in long, often unappreciated hours, weeks, months, and even years of concentrated, disciplined work in a particular direction.
I swear it.
The discipline of daily goal setting will change your life. Why? Is well, we know that focus and concentration are essential to success. There are some skills that are helpful to success, but focus and concentration are indispensable. If you cannot focus and you cannot concentrate, then you have to work for someone else who will make you focus and concentrate, who will supervise you. The ability to focus, to be clear about what you want, and then to concentrate single-mindedly on achieving it are both habits or disciplines that you can learn through practice. Most people, as I said, become preoccupied with their limitations, with what they don't have, and it holds them back from deciding what they really want. Every morning before you start out, you reprogram your subconscious mind and then start your day. My promise to you is this: if you will do this for 1 month, actually 21 days is good enough, your whole life will change. You'll see changes that are astonishing. People come up to me at every single seminar and say, it's incredible. I started to write my goals every day. I accomplished 8 of them in 6 months. I accomplished 5 in a week. I accomplished most of them within 12 months. It's transformed my life. So all I ask you to do, if you're not already doing it, is give it a try. Every minute spent in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. So disciplining yourself to plan your day thoroughly before you begin will save you at least 10 minutes for every minute you spend in planning, and according to the research, it will increase your productivity by 25 to 50%, maybe even double your productivity for every day that you plan. You see, if you're not working from a plan, then you just respond and react to whatever's going on. Somebody comes in, the phone rings, there's an interruption or a problem, and you're off and running. If you have a plan, you just keep working the plan. It gives you a track to run on, so you just keep working your plan. Begin the discipline of daily time management by making a list. Start off with a sheet of paper, again, think on paper, and write down everything you have to do in the course of the day. The very best time to make this list is the night before. If you do this, then your subconscious mind works on your plan all night long, and you often wake up in the morning with great ideas to implement your plan. Then you organize your list by priority before you begin. You don't just jump into it. Use the 80-20 rule that says that 20% of the items on your list will account for 80% of the value. Which are the most valuable?
This is the hardest of all disciplines to learn. It's the essence of my teaching worldwide. It is the key to supercharging the quality of your life and your results. If you can start every morning with a list, organized by priority, and start on your number one task and stay with it till it's done, you will supercharge your life. You will release endorphins in your brain that causes you to feel great. You will motivate yourself and energize yourself and propel yourself into all your other tasks. You'll get twice as much done on any day where you start and complete your major task first thing than on any other day. The discipline of time management will then spread to all your other disciplines. When you can demonstrate each morning that you have the self-control, self-mastery, self-discipline to start and complete your most important task, you just feel fabulous about yourself. Force yourself to do what you know you should do, especially in the area of courage. The biggest obstacle to success, in my estimation, the estimation of a psychologist, is the fear of failure. It's the fear that it won't work out. It's the fear of loss of time or money or emotion. It's fear that goes back to early childhood. And the only way we can succeed is by overcoming this fear. And this fear is captured in the words, I can't. I can't. What about this? What about that? What about this? Fully 80% of the population is paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake. And why? Because in growing up, you make lots of mistakes and didn't like the feel of it. So eventually you become conditioned to avoid taking any risk at all. So you have to overcome this in order to realize your potential. But what we know is that courage to face fears is a habit, and it's developed with practice. Just like typing with a typewriter or riding a bicycle, you can actually develop the habit of courage by practicing courage whenever courage is required. Aristotle wrote about this in his Nicomachean Ethics in 350 BC. He said, if you desire to have a quality that you don't have, act in every instance where the quality is called for as though you already had it, and you will have it. So, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. What he said was to confront your fear. The natural human tendency is to avoid a fear-causing or fear-inducing situation. Most of our fear problems seem to be bundled up with other people, by the way. It's confronting a boss, it's confronting a bad relationship, sometimes it's confronting a prospect, cold calling, going out and calling on customers and facing rejection and failure and embarrassment and so on. But confronting that fear, instead of avoiding it, just do it. So the reason you want to confront your fears is not because of the incident specifically, it's because of what it does for your character. You want to demonstrate to yourself that you can face down a fear and look it square in the eye, and suddenly, surprise, surprise, it goes away. And you realize that the fear was in your own mind. If the fear of failure is summarized with the feeling, I can't. Psychologists have found you can actually short-circuit or override the fear by saying to yourself very strongly, I can do it. 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 So whenever you're afraid of anything, talking to somebody, confronting someone, dealing with something, say to yourself over and over again, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then just do it. And you'll be amazed the fear disappears. It's almost like, poof, it's gone. So the key is, you look at that telephone, you pick up the phone, cold call, the prospect, just say to yourself, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, and pick it up and dial. And suddenly the fear disappears. And you do this repeatedly, and eventually you develop the habit of courage. So discipline yourself to exercise daily. The very best time, of course, is in the morning. If you get up in the morning and exercise immediately, even if it's just stretching, going for a walk, or riding a life cycle, walking on a treadmill, doesn't matter what it is, if you get up in the morning and exercise immediately, not only will your body continue to burn calories all day, not only will you be more alert because you'll have highly oxygenated blood flooding your brain first thing in the morning, but you'll develop the discipline of starting on something that you would normally not want to do and getting it done, getting it out of the way. The more times I read about wealthy people, successful people, top business people, it's amazing how many of them get up at 5 o'clock and work out for an hour. It's absolutely astonishing. Over and over again, you see their daily routine is they get up at 5 or 5:30 and they work out for an hour before they start planning and organizing their day. If you can discipline yourself to do that, have an enormous impact on your life. Also, when you exercise first thing in the morning for 30 to 60 minutes, your brain releases endorphins.
which, as I said, make you happy and make you feel exhilarated, make you feel more creative, more positive. You'll feel more personable. You're more eager to get to work and so on. So morning exercise just starts you off in fantastic mental and physical condition. The interesting thing, Thomas Jefferson once said, "Do you believe in luck?" he was asked. He said, "Yes." He said, "I believe in luck." He said, "And the harder I work, the more that I have." So the harder you work, the luckier you get. The harder you work, the more opportunities you have, the more doors open up to you, the more opportunities you see. So in America, the average work week is 32 hours. As you know, in France, legally, the average work week is 35 hours, but then most people waste about half their time at work. According to Robert Half International, the average person wastes 50% of their time in idle chit-chat with coworkers, coffee breaks, lunches, reading the paper, surfing the internet, doing all kinds of things that don't contribute anything to the work. So here's the rule that will make you successful, happy, and rich, and it's this: work all the time you work. Work all the time you work. When you go to work, work. When you go to work, put your head down and go to work. Don't waste a single minute. Put your head down and work all day long. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hi, how you doing?" you say, "Fine, but right now I've got to get back to work, back to work, back to work." If you got to make the check, yes, but not now. Let's talk after work. Right now I've got to get my job done. And nobody will ever stop you when you say, "I've got to get back to work. I've got a job. I've got to get out. I've got something I have to get done." They'll go away and they'll ruin someone else's career. Remember, the greatest time wasters in the world of work are other people who take up your time with idle chit-chat and worthless gossip. You've got to avoid the time wasters. In every single company, these people go around and they're like a virus. They go around and they affect everybody they talk to. Stay away from time wasters. Make a habit of doing what unsuccessful people don't like to do. And of course the logical question is, well, what is it that unsuccessful people don't like to do? Well, it turned out to be the same thing that successful people don't like to do either, but they do it anyway because they recognize that that's the price of success. We're living at the very best time in all of human history. More people are going to make more money in the next few years than have ever been made in all of human history. More people are going to become millionaires and are becoming millionaires today at a faster rate than we ever thought possible. And no one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. And if you do what other self-made millionaires do, then nothing in the world can stop you from eventually getting the same results as other self-made millionaires. And I hope you do. Dare to go forward in your life. Dare to go forward in the direction of fulfilling your potential. Many years ago, I was a karate student. I was also a karate instructor, and I competed in 3 international championships. And one of the things that I learned from my best karate instructors, and I studied under 6 world champions, is they told me that when you fight, always move forward. Even if you're only moving forward half an inch at a time, so always move forward. So when you're moving forward, 100% of your attention is forward. But if you're moving backward, even a half an inch at a time, half of your attention is always behind you and where you're going. So always move forward. Always dare to go forward. Whenever you have a choice of either staying still and playing it safe or moving forward, move forward. Not because you'll necessarily succeed every time, because it reinforces and cements the habit of moving forward. And most people, when they have a choice of moving forward or playing it safe, play it safe. But I think General Douglas MacArthur said there's no security in life, only opportunity. Life is very perverse in a way, because the more we seek security, the less we have it. And the more we seek opportunity, the more we have security. Helen Keller said this beautifully. She said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. That the tendency, she said in the earlier parts of the statement, she said the tendency to seek security is the low road to failure. That courage is absolutely essential. And one of the things that I used to think that if you were really courageous, eventually you got to the point where you weren't afraid. I'm going to tell you something, that if you're not a little bit afraid, at least 3 or 4 nights a week, you're not trying hard enough. If you're not falling on your face over and over again, if you're not trembling when you go to sleep with your heart pounding, then what is happening is you're not trying hard enough. You're living too far within your potential. That all really successful people live on the outside edge of what they're capable of. And it's always a little bit scary on the outside edge, because we all have feelings of uncertainty. We all have fears. We all have doubts that hold us back. But the brave person is simply the person who moves forward and keeps taking the chance. And you cannot imagine a successful person without courage. You cannot imagine a successful person without the courage to face and confront their fears and to move forward. In my experience, the fear of failure is the greatest single reason for failure in adult life.
The fear of failure, the fear of making a mistake, of losing our money, our time, our effort, is what paralyzes us and holds us back. But the fear of failure is a habit which can be counteracted by the habit of courage. And if we don't overcome that fear of failure, then we'll just be like the 80–90% that do not fulfill their potential. See, the wonderful thing is only a few percentage of people fulfill their potential in any generation. And we can join those people simply by deciding to do so and doing what the other people do.
I swear it.
As simple as that. If we decide to become an engineer, what do you study? You study engineering. If you want to become a better cook, what do you do? You study cooking. Do you try to do it all by yourself? No, you get cookbooks, you take classes, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
If you want to be successful, if you want to fulfill your potential, study the men and women who are fulfilling their potential. Just do what they do.
Your self-esteem is largely determined by the gap between your self-image and your self-ideal. And is it contracting, is it getting smaller, then your self-esteem is high. If it's getting wider because you fell off the wagon, you did or said something that you're not happy about, that's not me, then your self-esteem will go down. So striving to be like your ideal causes your self-esteem and self-confidence to go up. And then when somebody gives you a compliment that is consistent with you being a better person, then you really feel that you're moving toward that great goal. So the stages of changing your self-concept are, number one, the change must be perceived by you as being both desirable and necessary. Remember we said before, changing the light bulb has to really want to change.
Absolutely.
Well, for you to change, you must consider it to be desirable, is something that you want, and necessary. This is something I need to do if I'm really going to realize my potential. And so if your self-concept, you want to have a self-concept of a very well-controlled and organized, positive person, you say, this is something that's essential if I'm going to achieve maximum influence in my circle, or even become a great salesperson. With your self-concept, you want to be very well organized, and you need to be well organized to be successful in a competitive business, then you consider it to be both desirable and necessary. That's the motive force that drives you. Number two is begin thinking about yourself as you would like to be. Sort of turn it over in your mind. John Asseroff, who you see tomorrow, great guy, he's done a program which I'll tell you about. It's called The Inner Game of Financial Success. And he got a call from a man named Timothy Galway. Timothy Galway, 30 years ago, I read the book, wrote a book called Inner Tennis. And he's also written Inner Golf. And what he says, which is completely consistent with what we're learning here, what he said is, if you want to be a better tennis player, imagine that you were a world champion tennis player already. Just imagine you're a world champion. As you move, as you swing the racket, you've seen them on television, just act as though, think, I'm a world champion. Now think of how you would act if you're a world champion. And surprise, surprise, your performance actually improved. You actually play better tennis, just playing with the idea that you're a world champion. And if you're a world champion, if you want to be a better golfer, then play with the idea that I'm already a great golfer. I am a great golfer. And just imagine, this is what you like, just imagine that you're already a great golfer and you actually end up playing better golf. It's called, he calls it the inner game of tennis, the inner game of golf. And it's the same thing with you. When you imagine yourself as already excellent at what you want to do. But changing your self-concept, we say, in your self-concept, the self-ideal is a combination of all the qualities of all the men and women you've admired throughout your life. Which, of course, if you read lots of biographies and autobiographies of men and women who are worthy of reading, as opposed to drunken rock stars and things like that. But when you read about Madame Curie or Thomas Edison or Mother Teresa, when you read stories about men and women who have done wonderful things with their lives, all of them from humble beginnings, you start to think, I'd like to be that way. And when you read about their qualities and how they persisted, you start to absorb through the skin being like that when the condition requires it. When the situation requires it, yes, I'll be courageous too. I'll be determined too. I will be cheerful as well. So the more you read about people, the more you form a higher and better and clarified ideal. So this becomes your internal role model. And there's always this dynamic tension between the person you are and the person you would like to be. A person who thinks that they're already fine is not a person who's really open to any improvement. And people who think that they're already fine are usually people that are not really that admirable. Because every admirable person you'll ever meet thinks that they could be much better than they are. They could do much better. They always feel that I could be much more successful than this, or a better person. I could be more compassionate and more patient and more loving. Even though other people think, geez,
I swear
you're
it.
doing very well, they always compare themselves against an ever higher standard, which
For the
means that they're
king.
always in this state of dynamic tension toward becoming better and better and better. When you
Absolute.
admire these people, you have an unconscious tendency to be more like them. And that's why it's important that you think and talk about people that you admire. The great tragedy for many young
I
people
swear.
today is that they admire divas and rock stars,
For the
and
king.
basketball players and dancers with the idols. Those are the people they admire. And you can tell who they admire by who they watch, who they tweet, who they look at, who they replay, who they discuss, and so on. And that's not really very healthy, because these people
I swear.
are not good role models for young people. They're not good role models. I have had my life so profoundly and positively changed by role models. Mostly men who kind of took me under their wing when I was growing up and coming from a lousy home. And they became role models to me. Even to this day, decades later, I can remember still wanting to be
For the king.
someone that they would approve. Somerset Maugham was once asked why he wrote so prolifically. He made a beautiful line, which I think applies to life. He said, "I write to earn the respect of the people I respect."
Absolute.
And what I have found is that that's what we do in life, is we do the things we do to earn the respect of the people we respect, and at least not to lose their respect. And many of us would go through tremendous privations and sacrifices not to lose the respect of someone whose respect we value. And so thinking about whose respect you value
For the king.
is a really important point. Who is really important in my life? Who do I really respect? And then you think, what would I need to do or not do to earn or to keep this person's respect? And you don't even have to know them. They just can't. They can be people who are people that are very admirable.
Guard your integrity as a sacred thing. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, nothing at last is sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Never compromise your integrity for anything, and never compromise your peace of mind for anything. You see, compromising your peace of mind is a way of compromising your integrity. Never do anything that disrupts your peace of mind. If it makes you feel unhappy, get out of it. Don't stay in relationships, don't stay in jobs, don't stay in situations that cause your peace of mind to be disrupted, because your peace of mind is the highest good that you have. And a person who practices consistency consistently structures their life so what they are doing is being true to themselves. What they are doing is living up to the very best that is in them as a human being. And that takes tremendous courage. It takes tremendous courage, because it's so easy to go along with the crowd. But you'll never be really happy unless you know that you are being true to yourself, and completely true to yourself.
Begin to visualize and create clear mental pictures. A visualized picture is a command to your subconscious mind, and when you visualize yourself performing at your best, your subconscious